Yo, what's going on, guys? I'm Carter Channel Brandon here, back here with another video, and this one's going to be my first sit-down, technically, in a really long time, and it's going to be a Saw video, and over the next few weeks, maybe month or so, I'm going to be going over traps, protagonists, movies, kills, you know, stuff like that in the Saw series, and I might do that with other horror movies like Friday the 13th, the Halloween franchise, Jaws even. But this is going to be my favorite, or just my Saw villains, ranked from worst to best. There's 8 of them. There's Logan Nelson, Lawrence Gordon, William Shank, Amanda Young, Zepp Hindle, Jill Tuck, Mark Hoffman, and John Kramer. So, like I said, we're going to go worst to best, so 8 to 1. And my least favorite antagonist, or apprentice, I guess, would be Zepp Hindle. In the first movie is really good. It's got interesting plot points and stuff like that. Yeah, it's just a really good movie, but Zepp, he pretty much has to be the antagonist to save his own life. So he's in a game in his own right, because there's a slow-acting poison coursing through his veins, and in order to get the antidote, he has to kill Lawrence Gordon's wife and daughter. If Dr. Gordon cannot kill Adam by the time the clock reaches 6, or 6 on the clock, or yeah, that's how it was. I think so. But he just doesn't do a lot, I guess. You don't really see Zepp throughout the entire movie. You see him in a few flashbacks and stuff, like when Dr. Gordon got called down to his office because the police were investigating because of a murder that happened, of Paul's murder. His pen light that was left on the scene of the crime, so he was immediately a suspect, even though Dr. Gordon at the time did nothing wrong to be a suspect. But Zepp Hindle, or Zepp, or I guess whatever you want to call him, to me, he just doesn't do a whole lot. He gets in a shootout with Detective Tapp. He honestly, it's pretty much all he does, in my opinion. He goes to the bathroom where Adam and Dr. Gordon are, and he gets his head crushed by a toilet lid by Adam, who is still alive, after Dr. Gordon shot him in the shoulder with the revolver that had 1 bullet in it. So, yeah, if you're a main antagonist in the film, especially in the first one, you're not doing much there, especially if you die in a really cool way, though. I mean, getting your head crushed in by a toilet lid, that's a cool way to go out. But yeah, Zepp just didn't do a lot for me. So coming in at number 7, this is from the 2017? I think it's a 2017 or 2018 release of Jigsaw, and it's going to be Logan Nelson. Sorry about that. It's an interesting movie. It's good and bad, because it has some annoying-ass characters like Carly, I believe is what her name is. The one who had, like, the needle game where she had to get either, was it a saline solution, an acid, or an antidote, and then Ryan just injects her with all 3, releasing the others from the trap, but killing her. So she kind of, I don't know how to word it. She was pretty much just put there and then used as bait, I guess, almost. But Jigsaw 2017 release, I believe, or 18, I can't quite remember, is different, because Logan Nelson, at first you don't suspect that he could be the Saw or the Jigsaw apprentice or copycat, because at the time Jigsaw was dead for 10 years, but it takes place in 2 different timelines. The first one we see is when the sleepy boy, is what I'm going to call Logan Nelson, when he's in the buzzsaw trap where you have to deliver any amount of blood for the buckets to come off so you can go to the next section. He's asleep and doesn't wake up, and when all the others go through, John Kramer runs in and saves him because he realizes Logan Nelson should not be in a game or any chance to die from an honest mistake, just switching the labels on a cancer diagnosis and, stuff like that. Mistakes happen, right? So John Kramer realized that it was kind of stupid for him to be in the trap for just an honest mistake. So he took him in, healed him up, and from that point on, he was pretty much his apprentice. So he shot, Logan Nelson, or Logan, I'll call him Logan. Edgar Munson is pretty much used as a, pawn for Detective Halloran to look like the Jigsaw Killer. Because Nelson... God, I'm kind of stupid today. I got back from Tennessee and it was like a 10-hour drive, so I'm tired. Logan was sitting on a building when Edgar pulled the trigger on the remote to start the game, which took place 10 years after the first game where Logan was in, if that makes sense. I don't know if I'm describing it well enough, but, hold on. Okay, so Edgar Munson, right? He pulled the trigger to start the trap, or to start the game, and Detective Halloran, his whole squad shot at him, but one bullet landed in his chest when Halloran said, "Hit the hand." And they used Glock 17s, right? And this was used for the plot purpose. So when Logan was on the building, he had a sniper rifle. He shot it right into Edgar. And when... Sorry, just paused. When Edgar died from... I don't exactly know what. They checked the bullet, right? Because it was lodged pretty deep in his body. And what Logan did was a switcheroo. He replaced the sniper rifle bullet for the Glock 17 bullet to make it look like Halloran killed or shot Munson in the chest. And he also put jigsaw pieces in Halloran's freezer, which also made him look like less of a suspect. Or made Logan look like less of a suspect and more of a help instead of Detective Halloran. So yeah, and Logan Nelson, he just wasn't a big character, I guess. I mean, he was a big character in the movie because it was mainly based around him and his life and his wife dying, and he had like a vendetta against Halloran to make him look like the killer. But it just seemed kind of like a drama, I guess. So, yeah, that's why Nelson goes at number 7. So, coming in at number 6, we have Jill Tuck, who I feel like wasn't much of a villain, but she was more of someone I enjoyed seeing because she was in a lot of the movies with John Kramer. I believe she was in almost every one until her demise in Saw 3D, where she got her face split open with the reverse bear trap. And I've seen all the movies, but I only own a few of them, so that's why my vision's kind of foggy on it. But yeah, she's with John Kramer as in a relationship. They were going to have a kid, but she had a miscarriage because a drug addict at her her rehabilitation facility, or a recovering drug addict, Cecil, went in to get his jacket and then slammed the door on her stomach, causing her to have a miscarriage, which just messed with John Kramer, just messed with John and Jill. Just messed with them, and she wasn't necessarily a villain, she was more of an accomplice, I guess. She was against it, for sure, but she stayed with him for a long time. So, yeah, she's not really a villain, but not an apprentice. So she's just kind of there as someone working with John, I guess. Not really working, but with him, if that makes sense. Coming in at number 5, we have Dr. Lawrence Gordon. So in the first Saw, he seems like an innocent doctor who was just a suspect out of No, I was gonna say hatred, but that's not right. This isn't Jigsaw. He was a suspect just to make him look bad, right? To ruin his reputation because of, shoot. Never mind, that doesn't matter. But he's not necessarily a villain until, I believe it's Saw 3D. And even then, he's not really a villain. He just drugs Detective Mark Hoffman and then kind of just leaves, I guess. But Cary Elwes is a great actor. He was in Black Christmas, the newest one. I believe it was a 2019 release before the whole pandemic happened. But he knows how to play certain characters. So I give Cary Elwes some props there as to play Dr. Lawrence Gordon from a first-time director, Lee Winnell. Or was it James Wan? I believe it was James Wan who was the director, and Lee Winnell was the writer, I think. No, I don't know exactly what he was, but he was in the movie. So, yeah. Lawrence Gordon wasn't much of a villain. He was just kind of lingering, I guess, in the entire Saw series. So, yeah, that's why he's at number 5. Coming in at number 4, we have William Shank from Spiral from the Book of Saw. I have not seen the movie yet, so I'm going to put him in at number 4, because I've seen some clips of it, and I've seen the traps that he's placed him in, and they are some brutal-ass traps, like the finger trap, the waterboarding trap with the hot wax going over Angie's face. It's terrifying. The train trap where he has to unwrap the barbed wire from his hands and then cut his tongue loose, which it's not this, like, right here, it's, like, down here, I believe, which you could possibly suffocate, which is terrifying just to think about. And then he gets ran over by an unsuspecting train. Like, pretty sure the driver didn't suspect him to be there unless he was paid. But I don't think he suspected it. But yeah, that was just a brutal trap. And there's a lot of brutal traps throughout the entire series. But coming in at number 3, we have Amanda Young, who died, I believe, in Saw 4 to slow-ass mother fluffin' Jeff. And I got that from Dead Meat. James A. Janice, shout out to him. Yeah, she was a big part of the series. Like we saw in the first game, she threw Adam in the bathtub and put the key on his chest, like with the blue light. But she was supposed to put it somewhere else so he could have a chance to escape it, I guess. Like, walk around freely and help Lawrence or Dr. Gordon as well. So, yeah, and she made a lot of the traps. She made the Detective Carey trap, the, like, angel's wings, where her ribcage was ripped out, and it just, it's a gruesome trap. Detective Carey was not meant to survive that trap. It was rigged, which is what Mark Hoffman does a lot, which is just horrible. She went through putting her hands in vats of acid to get a key just to die. So, yeah, Amanda Young had some vendettas, for sure. Yeah, but she played a big part in the Saw series, especially with Detective Mark Hoffman. Yeah, just some crazy stuff happened throughout the series. Coming in at number 2, we have Detective Mark Hoffman, who in, I believe it was Saw 3D, becomes the Hoffmanator, is what Dead Meat James calls him, where he just kills and kills and kills everyone, and he escapes a reverse bear trap by cutting I believe it's his mouth, to give him like a scar right here, leaving almost a permanent smile. And then he puts the trap through, like, a metal grate in the wall, or, like, bars, so it could cut him, but he could get his head out of it, which is just brutal. But Hoffman, I believe it was Saw 6, he made Strom look like the killer when he made Strom's, if you don't know what I'm talking about, Peter Strom, Special Agent Strom, whatever you want to call him. he made his phone, like he took his phone and turned it off and put it in the warehouse where they had to do. Oh, that was just a terrible movie. Not in a bad way, but a gruesome way, where they had to put their hands in the buzzsaw to get 10 liters of blood. And if they would have just worked together, they all could have survived, but they all just killed each other like it was a freaking battle royale or some stuff like that. I believe that's the movie. I think so. Like I said, my memory's foggy. But this, Mark Hoffman, he built the Seth Baxter pendulum trap because Seth Baxter killed Hoffman's sister. I almost said girlfriend. Killed his sister, and he wanted to get revenge because he felt like he didn't serve enough time. He was supposed to serve, I think, 25 years, when it should have been a life sentence, but only served like 5 or something like that. Sorry about that. But, ooh, just the way the pendulum was, that even though he got his hands crushed to absolute dust, doesn't matter. He still got split in half, which was terrible. So, yeah. Coming in number 1, we have, obviously, John Kramer. Hold on. Okay, sorry about that. My little brother just ran into my room. But like I said, coming in at number 1, we have John Kramer, who was the mastermind between every single trap that was ever executed, every game ever played. He made dioramas, little projects, and just had a lot of backstory. And he was the one running from Sing in Saw 1, where they ran and Sing shot him in the leg, I think, right? And then Sing was chasing after him, and there was a tripwire with 4 shotguns, and Sing didn't see it because he was running, and the building had spider webs and cobwebs in it, so it was kind of hard to tell. And then he got his head extremely, like, obliterated, and I mean obliterated. So, yeah, John Kramer, he was the mastermind. He was in every single Saw movie. I think, like, at least partly, except in Spiral, he's more of just a picture, because there's a few pictures of him shown. But yeah, that's my list of every Saw villain ranked worst to best. Let me know in the comments below if you guys have anything different. See you next time. Peace out.